After harvesting the pods on the farm, the farmer's family sit together and break the cocoa pods. The breaking of the cocoa pod can be done by women and men as well, because it's a very simple activity. Pods are broken with clubs, and fresh cocoa beans are collected from the broken pods. These beans come along with the mucilage. It is this mucilage that helps during fermentation for the cocoa to ferment very well. There are different types of fermentation. We have the box fermentation, heap fermentation, and basket fermentation. But in this video, we are going to look at the box fermentation. In the box fermentation, plantain leaves are put at the base of the box or trays, and they are pierced with knife. The liquid can drain from there. Then the cocoa beans are poured on the banana leaves. Then the leaves are also used to cover the beans at the top before another tray is put on that particular tray. And during this process is called fermentation process. It takes about 5 to 7 days for the beans to be properly fermented. Fresh beans are usually wrapped in banana leaves during fermentation. Beans are sorted out before fermentation, and the bad beans are removed. After fermentation, the beans are dried on concrete slabs, and drying also takes about 1 week. After drying, the farmer collects the beans and takes the beans to the local warehouse within the community, where they are weighed, tested for dryness, and then paid for. In the local warehouse, the operators there know how they test the beans for dryness. They will use a small knife to cut the beans, and once it cuts with a cracking sound, then the beans is dried. But if they cut it and it doesn't produce any sound, that shows that the beans is not properly dried. So they pay good money for dried beans. However, the farmers, when asked of the basic problems that they encounter in the farm, a farmer, Mrs. Adeyemi, spoke of the challenges that they have in growing cocoa in this community. She said that pesticides are very, very expensive, that the very good pesticides recommended by the government are expensive for them, and that they are not making much profits like before because they cannot purchase these pesticides. And so they are asking the government to come to their aid, to make pesticides cheap, and other farm inputs such as fertilizer and farm implement, cutlasses and hoe, that they will make them cheap for farmers, so that farmers will make profit from cocoa again. At the moment, the farmers are suffering, and most of their cocoa farms are being attacked by pests and diseases. And if this continues, that most of them will abandon their farms. And she calls for the government to subsidize the farm for farm inputs, and her message will be taken to the appropriate authority. Thank you.